Okay, so now that we learned about verbal game, we learned about, sub-communication, it's time to talk about physicality. Now, I think that physicality in game is a bit overrated. I think that a lot of guys focus on physical escalation, like escalating to get to a certain point, to pull the girl. In my interactions, I usually don't get very, very physical because it's not necessary to actually make stuff happen. As you'll learn when we talk about the actually getting results section, which is the next section in this module. But what we're going to do is we're going to break down a little bit about physicality and how you can implement it into your own game. So one thing I want to explain is about the girl's physical bubble. I call it the last frontier analogy, kind of a little funny example there. The last frontier analogy, what it means is that a lot of guys, before they can actually close the girl back at their place, the biggest thing they have to do is just establish physicality. Even to a small amount. In a club, for example, if you never touch a girl at all, it's going to be hard to establish a sexual connection with her, right? So you do have to establish some kind of physicality with a girl. Even if it's holding her hand or clasping hands with her and having her arms around your neck, things like that. It doesn't have to, as you saw in the last couple infield clips, it doesn't have to be something that's a hardcore makeout. And we're not even going to go into that in this because I don't think that's necessary, going for aggressive makeout and stuff like that. You don't need to do that in order to pull. You don't need to do that to have a woman attracted to you. And if anything, that kills sexual tension, in my opinion. I think it can be good at certain moments, certain times, where there's a girl that's maybe there's a little weird and you're not sure if she's attracted to you, maybe getting a makeout would be good. But generally, you don't need to do that. But you still do want to have physicality because you want to break the girl's physical bubble, right? Breaking the girl's physical bubble is really important. And what does that mean? Generally, people have a zone around them where it's if you are breaking this barrier, that means that you are kind of encroaching on my space. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. For example, if you're dating a girl and you're in a relationship with her and you break that physical barrier, that's a good thing, right? I mean, she would accept that. But if you're a stranger that she's not attracted to, the keyword being not attracted to, if you break that barrier, she's not going to be so keen on that, right? So the key is not just, hey, let me break the barrier. The key is making the girl feel okay with you breaking that barrier and establishing that you are a guy who is physical, right? Establishing that you're a guy who is not succumbing to the general societal standard of, no, don't touch anyone, hands off, wait for the girl's permission, because it usually doesn't work. You want to be an attractive man, because an attractive man will touch the girl. And it's important to understand that women are more sensitive to touch than men are. Women are more sensitive to touch than we are as men. That's a fact. The girl is much more aware of you touching her than you are as a man. Not that you as a man, if a girl touches you, you won't know, of course, but a woman, sparks go off when you touch her. It's pretty fucking crazy how that happens, how women are just in tune with their bodies. So the question is when to be physical and how to be physical, and that's what we're going to get into in this video. So the first thing is the earlier, the better. The earlier you get physical, the better. Right? A lot of guys wait to be the guy who can touch. A lot of guys wait for the moment where they can touch the girl. They kind of come in and give a handshake, the shaking the handshake. I don't like to do that. I like to just hold my hand open and let the girl take my hand. That's it. But a lot of guys wait to be physical, or they'll wait before they, give the girl a hug and engage the girl. But you should be physical from the very beginning, because when is a girl most attracted to you? She's most attracted to you the moment you say hi. The moment you come up to her, she's like, who is this guy? Who is this man? There's no such thing, like we've talked about before, there's no such thing as building attraction, making her more attracted to you, doing more game and more game and more game. It just doesn't work like that. So when you get physical with the girl, you want to get physical from the very fucking beginning. From the very beginning of when you meet the girl, you want to get physical. Okay, now, the thing is that your comfort equals her comfort. As you are comfortable with the girl, she's going to be comfortable to you. So if you're getting physical from the context of, fuck, let me try to get to this point where I can now win her, the girl's going to be uncomfortable. But if you're comfortable and you demonstrate through subcommunication, remember all this ties into each other, so the first video was subcommunication, it ties in here. If you demonstrate through your subcommunication that you're comfortable touching the girl, she's going to receive that. She's going to be open to that. Okay, now, the thing I want to stress is that you don't need to be physically escalating. A lot of guys think that part of being physical is, escalating and getting to the point where you can touch the girl. It's they think, here's the point where I can make out. I need to get to that point. I need to start, touching her this way, touching her that way. I need to do the spin move. And then I need to, do this act and that act. But no, physicality is something that you don't have to escalate to, but you can just be physical instead of do physical. Again, the second you're being physical is when you're winning. The second you're doing physicality, I have to get to this next step, that's when you're going to lose. You want physicality to be something that is innately a part of you, something that you just do because you want to do it, because you feel that you want to be physical, not because you have to turn it on for the girl. The second you feel like you're turning things on for the girl, that's when you're going to be losing. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to actually do it. Well, there's 3 levels to physicality, 3 basic principles to physicality. The first one is rewarding the girl's investment. The second is absent-minded touching, and finally is building tension. So what does this mean? So rewarding the girl's investment. And in later videos, when we go over more infield, we're going to show examples of how to actually do this and how to make a poll happen. Actually, in the next module, the next video, we'll be talking about social awareness, and we'll break down how to apply physical game to social awareness. So, one example is rewarding the girl's investment. Right? How do you reward her investment? When the girl is talking to you, when the girl is engaging you, how do you reward her investment? Getting physical should be a reward to the girl. You should condition the girl, it's conditioning, that whenever you invest or give me anything, I'm gonna get physical with you. And that's a good thing. So what you're doing is whenever the girl's like opening up, hey there, I like you, or I'm giving you some information or something about myself, I love you, hug. Or I love you, and get physical. Hold hands with her. And of course, you can keep that physicality there. You shouldn't be far away. Remember, subcommunication. If you're close to the girl and you're making eye contact, and you're like, how do I make out? That's how you make out. But you shouldn't be physical on and then off. You shouldn't be physical and then be like back all the way away from her. Your subcommunication should be solid and you should be there with the girl. Right? So part of rewarding her investment is that when the girl invests, you get physical, so you can condition her that anytime I give this guy something, he's going to get physical with me. It's a reward. So she begins to appreciate your physicality. An example of her investment could be negative investment, something like you're an asshole. Like if a girl tells me, oh my God, you're such a fucking asshole, what am I going to do? I'm going to hug her. Right? I'm going to hug her and I'm going to bring her in to me. What if the girl says something like, that's awesome, or I appreciate something you do? I'm also going to reward her with physicality. Another example is neutral investment. So if the girl gives me something like her name, the girl just gives me her name, I'm going to get physical. Right? But I don't have to get physical every time like a makeout. That doesn't mean getting physical. Getting physical could be as simple as, oh my God, I love that about you, and a hug. Or it could be as simple as, nice meeting you, and you hold your hand open and you hold her hand like this instead of shaking it like this. You just hold her hand for half a second, or a minute, a second, and then let go. Right? So I'm literally conditioning the girl. The other thing is, this is what makes rewarding physicality so much better, is when you can compliment and tease the girl while you're getting physical. So instead of just, okay, let me get physical for the sake of getting physical and that's it, you compliment and tease her while you're getting physical. Does that make sense? So instead of you saying, okay, here is me trying to get physical with you in this moment and trying to say, randomly just hug me. No, instead you compliment and tease her. For example, a girl says you're an asshole, and I'd be like, you are too, I fucking love you. Compliment and a tease, and I'm hugging, putting my arm around her. Right? It's in flow and it becomes natural. It feels like it's a part of you. Again, being part of that being frame instead of that doing frame. When it's just, when the girl says something to me that I appreciate or she invests, I can reward her. Even if she says her name, or where are you from? I'm from Italy. Oh my God, I love you. Hugs. And you have your arm around her. And then when you talk to her, you keep your arm around her, you say something in her ear. Physicality. Remember, establishing physicality early. Now, another part, the second principle of being physical is something I call absent-minded touching. What does this mean? So absent-minded physicality or absent-minded touching is essentially having zero agenda, zero escalation, zero agenda behind touching the girl. This is probably the best version of physicality that I've been able to teach. I used to teach like physical escalation, but now I teach this absent-minded touching. What it basically means is that you touch the girl just because you feel like it in certain moments. So it's like while you're talking to the girl, one thing I like to do is like poke the girl's belly button or some shit. I'll kind of like poke her belly button, or I'll trace a circle on her arm, or I'll put my hand on her leg. I'm gonna go over some date footage later on in the Fuckboy film, and you'll see how I do that. Right, the physicality that I do with the girl is not physicality that's based on, let me try to get to this certain point where now I can be physical, but it is, okay, it's absent-minded. It's just, oh, in the moment I just felt like doing it. I just started thinking about it, right? That's absent-minded physicality. And that's the opposite of not being in flow. You want to be in flow. So when you're getting physical with a girl, you want to touch the girl in flow. I call it going within the flow of the interaction. So let's say that I'm locked in by a bar, and I'm talking to the girl about where she's from. And she says, I'm from Germany. I'll be talking to her, and then maybe middle through the conversation, I'll just start to touch her arm for no reason. But I'll keep talking, though. I'm not going to go silent, like, now I'm touching you. Oh, my God, touching. No, it's just silent. You go silent. I mean, you don't go silent. You just keep talking. Maybe you'll tease and joke, but you'll touch her arm as you're talking to her, right? You're breaking that touch barrier and adding in little bits of physicality. Right? Physicality should happen in flow. It shouldn't happen as a disjointed thing. Like one moment, okay, I'm not going to be physical at all, and rely on my verbal game. Remember, you don't want to rely on your verbals. You want to rely on your subcommunication. That's why your subcommunication is most important. And then part of that is being physical. But you don't want it to be like, I have to get physical every second. Like, let me hug you, then spin you around, then try to make out with you. And if you say you're not going to make out with me, then I think you hate me. It's not like that. It is in the moment, I'm going to get physical, but I'm going to do it in flow. Okay? And now the other thing is building tension. So part of being physical and part of being a guy who can get physical with girls is actually building tension with a girl. So you need to constantly be building tension, because this is what makes you attractive. This is one of the biggest fuckboy friend principles, the guy who can build tension. And that's honestly the main purpose of being physical. Like, as a guy who can build tension, if you can constantly build tension with a woman, you're going to be demonstrating to her that you are an attractive man. Because if you can build tension, you can handle that tension, the woman's going to fall into your reality and fall into your frame. If you can handle that tension without buckling under the pressure, without judging yourself, if you can handle that tension consistently, you're going to be attractive to her. Right? So what you want to do is, when you're handling tension, when you're talking to girls and getting physical, you want to build tension by starting off with small touches. So you establish yourself by starting off with small touches. A lot of guys, again, go for the big thing. They'll try to do some weird exercise where they get the opening makeout. And sometimes that is good. That can be great to do. But usually you don't want to be going for that. You want to be doing simple things, simple interactions with girls, because that's what's going to get you success. So small touches, and you don't want your physicality to be, like, I have to constantly be putting pressure on you. You want it to be somewhat off and on. And one thing that I like to add as well is, you don't want to be the guy who needs more. This is how you're going to build really strong tension. And this is probably one of the things that I learned early on in my game. I learned this very early, and it really helped me. I probably wouldn't be where I am without learning this early on from one of my mentors, is you don't want to be the guy who needs more. You don't want to be the guy who constantly needs the next level. You want to be the guy that can get something, but then break it off to build tension. Because if you, for example, if you're making out with a girl and then you stop making out with her after like 3 seconds, and you just hold her hair really tight and you look her right in the eye and you keep her close to you, you're gonna build a lot of tension, right? Because the girl's gonna be like, does he actually want to make out with me? The girl's gonna be like, oh my god, does this guy actually want me? Right? But if you're conveying to her, I don't really need you, like, it's not a big deal, like, I don't actually need to even fucking make out with you, I don't need you like that, you're gonna be winning. Right? One example is like the continuous makeout. A lot of guys are constantly going for like make out more. Like, they get a makeout and they just keep going because they enjoy that. And they're like, I'm getting the result. But they don't think of the end result, which is you can take a girl home. Right? You don't want to be going for things like that, like the continuous makeout or physicality. If you don't want to keep your arm on the girl, for example, a lot of guys will touch the girl on the shoulder, and then they'll just keep their hand there for like a long time. They'll just keep their hand there resting on her shoulder. You don't want to be that guy who's doing that. You want it to be off and on, off and on. So I'll get physical, and then I'll back off. I'll get physical, and then I'll back off. Look at my infield footage. The infield we're going to be going over. Look at how I get on and off of my physicality. Look at how I put physicality on and how I relax it. There's a very off and on dynamic. It's not just one, like, physical, here I am, that's it. No, it's very off and on. And then again, re-establish physicality. Don't just cut it and ignore it, but you want to re-establish it. This is how you're going to build tension. The girl basically should be guessing what's next. The girl should be wondering, what is this guy going to throw at me next? Like, how is he going to engage me next? What's the wavelength that he's going to engage me on? Is it going to be attractive or is it not? How is this guy going to engage me? How is this man going to give me more? What else is he going to give me? That's the frame you want to be coming from when you're getting physical with girls. That is how you do physicality. Again, I don't want you to overrate physicality and think, shit, I have to get physical in every interaction really fast, but you do need to establish some kind of physicality. Ultimately, what matters is if the girl's demonstrating she's attracted to you, you lead her, which is what we're going to go into in the, taking action module. But at the end of the day, it's not about just, being physical. That's important, and that kind of breaks the window and breaks the barrier that you may be overcoming at the beginning, but you don't need to do a lot of physicality to get results. But do keep this in your mind. Getting physicality is important. So again, to recap, you want to reward the girl's investment. So when she invests in you, she says something to you, get physical back to her. You can hold your hand open, pull her in for a hug, put your arm around her. Look at, again, the examples that I have with my infield. Put your arm around the girl, engage that way. And then absent-minded touching. You don't want to have to be like, now I'm putting my arm around you because you exactly said this in this moment. You want it to be more so of a, hey, just in the moment I feel like doing this, so I'm going to do it. And then you back off. Again, that's why you build tension. You build tension by backing off. If you get the makeout, you get close to the girl, you look in her eyes, you go for a fucking kiss, and then you don't keep doing it. You're not like, fuck, I'm going to keep making out. You back off, right? You don't want to constantly be looking for the validation from physicality, but you do want it to be there because having physicality there establishes that you are an attractive man.